to the Beaver Dam Lake Protection and Rehabilitation District monthly board meeting, scheduled for 7 to 8 o'clock this evening. Tonight's meeting is an open meeting in accordance with New York State Public Open Meetings Law. We are live in the community building and live on Zoom. This meeting is being recorded and it will be posted on the Orange County DPW website through BDL YouTube accounts. Forum tonight. Walter Blows will not be here. I am the vice chair. He's actually managing some health issues with an older family member, and it's been challenging for him to be regularly involved, but he's staying plugged in and sends his best. Walter actually asked if we needed him tonight. He's also been recovering from some health issues himself, and he is doing quite fine, but he did want to come tonight if we did need him, so that's done. All right. Everybody stand for the pledge, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have a motion to adopt the agenda for this evening. So move. Second. Aye. All in favor? Aye. All right, the motion has been adopted. One more time for quorum. Walter Blows will not be here. I'm Christopher Dunn, the vice chair. Larry Weinberg. Hello, I'm here. Our secretary is here tonight. Fred Whitman. Here. Jason Younes. Here. Diana Smith may be joining us soon via Zoom. She's not on yet. Also, Dr. Kevin Boyle, he is running late and should be here at some point. And if you see me whipping my head around, it's because we're getting used to using this new technology. The owl, so anybody in the room, if you make a sound, so if anybody comes in and the door opens, the owl will find you, so just be noting that. All right, administrative. Last board meeting was 4 weeks ago, September 13th. Today we'd like to focus a lot on the election, why it's important for the community, and that's something we'll return to. In terms of safety, I do not have anything to note from the past couple of weeks. Board members? Nothing new, nothing here, nothing. Once the summer has subsided and the mini bikes have subsided a little bit, starting to get a little quieter around me. Well, welcome. How you doing? Can you please sign in? Sure. It's an agenda under for you. Yep. Board member reorganization. So as we noticed, the annual election from Beaver Dam Lake Protection and Rehabilitation District of Orange County, known as the district, will take place on Tuesday, December 12th, 2023, between the hours of 3 and 8 p.m. right here in the community building at 557 Shore Drive, New Windsor. To elect 3 members of the district board from the New Windsor section of the district, one will be elected for 3 years, a 3-year term commencing January 1st, 2024 and ending December 31st, 2026. 2 will be elected for a 1-year term commencing on January 1st, 2024 and ending on December 31st, 2024. To also elect 1 member of the district board from Cornwall section of the district for a 3-year term commencing on January 1st and ending December 31st of 2026. And lastly, to elect 1 member of the district board from Blooming Grove section of the district for a 3-year term commencing on January 1st, 2024 and ending on December 31st, 2026. All resident electors of the district shall be entitled to vote at this election and may vote for any position on the ballot. A resident elector is a resident of the district who is duly registered to vote with the Orange County Board of Elections for at least 30 days immediately prior to the election. Any person desiring to have his or her name appear on the ballot as a candidate for any office listed above must file a nominating petition on the form provided by the district that is signed by at least 20. We advise getting 30. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Resident electors of the district. All candidates must reside within the section of the district in which they are running and must be a resident elector of the district. Lastly, nominating petition forms will be available beginning and no sooner than Wednesday, November 1st, 2023, and may be obtained from the Orange County Commissioner of Public Works, P.O. Box 509, routes 2455 to 2459, Route 17M, Goshen, New York 10925, or by emailing us here at bdlboard@gmail.com. Completing nomination petitions must be submitted to and received by the Orange County Commissioner of Public Works no later than 4 p.m. on Friday, December 1st. It is strongly recommended that you make these deliveries in person. I can speak to this myself. My nominating petitions actually were returned back to me after 5 days of being, actually, I think at least 5 days, being lost in the mail. And I always carry the proof with me, if anybody wants to see it. It's strong, so, and yeah, so with that, the election itself, anybody can chime in.
Okay, so I mean, this is an official election, so it's not rules that we've put in place here to make it difficult. It's going to be an open format for everybody. The same rules apply, hence the reason that people who are already on the board and do need to rerun. They can be unopposed where they'll get their seat, or there can be a challenging race that runs. But the point is, nobody can start the process until November 1st, so nobody has a competitive advantage. So we encourage you to participate and to become part of the board. There's a lot of pride involved. It's a lot about your community. We have the ability to impact a lot of very important things that happen. So we have been canvassing and trying to get the word out there. We need some folks to step up to the plate. If you know somebody that could potentially be great in the community, it could be you. It could be some neighbor that you have that maybe not really technologically plugged in. The process takes some time, folks. So November 1st starts the ball rolling, but then you have 1 month to get the forms printed. Then you have to get the signatures from people throughout the entire community. Doesn't have to be your specific area that you reside in, but you only will be able to run for that one seat. So Blooming Grove has 1 seat available, and we don't know if there'll be anybody else running in opposition to Mr. Boyle, but the point is, you've got to run for that one area where you live. Then take it seriously in getting the signatures. This is not a political office, so people are going to ask you about politics. The idea is, you want to be community, you want to be doing the best we can to protect our lake and quality of life that we have here. So expedite the process, get the signatures, and then hand deliver them to Goshen. I did hand deliver mine. I was cautioned, and I did get them there in time. I did run unopposed, but regardless. So that's just my feedback. Then get involved, be part of the solution. Okay?
Yeah, and I think, anybody, Fred?
Just to reiterate what Larry had said, don't get confused where if you're running for the seat from Cornwall or New Windsor, that you're limited to those signatories. Anybody in the Lake District can sign anybody's petition, no matter what area they're running for. It's just a matter of, and then the same thing with the vote. We will all vote for all people. So it's not a case of I can only vote for Cornwall or somebody else can only vote for New Windsor. So again, other than you having to know the district you're in to run for that district, any signatures, anybody can vote that's in the Lake District.
And, and just to make a last statement about this, I happen to be a teacher. One of my big things, and I happen to be a phys ed teacher, but I'm in elementary school, and talking to the students about civics is something that has been very important to me just as a teacher. You come into my gymnasium, I have flags in the entire world going around. So it's just a mindset of understanding your local government, how everything works. And one thing I would have to say, since joining the board, is that if I could tell the residents one thing, it would be to never be intimidated by taking something like this on. you know, personally, for me, it's a powerful tool to be able to affect change, or at least be a part of something as great as this and something as rare as this, where you have three towns coming together around the lake with a common focus and with the idea of not only keeping it running, but improving it from time to time. So, and that's basically what anybody that would want to run, in my belief, would be what we should be focused on.
And let them know that it's extremely gratifying that you're doing a good thing for the community where you live. That, you know, there's always things that need to be done, but where else can you honestly say you helped your hometown area?
And if it seems that we're spending more time on this than usual, we are. It hasn't been, at least in my knowledge, in a while where you have 5 positions up for grabs. You know, and if you look at it this way, the Department of Public Works, you know, as an arm of the legislation of the Orange County, they depend on us to keep it moving. And if any of us fail to deliver, or there's vacancies on the board, they can just make the decisions for the community. So rather than having your local representative here, which would be anybody you see here, those that we mentioned on roll call, you're letting somebody else kind of make decisions. So, you know, I think we would all be in agreement not to be intimidated by the idea of running for election.
Yeah, we need the seats filled, basically. We have to get the right people, but we have to get people. Otherwise, we're not gonna be in control of certain things that could happen. I'm not saying that anybody's pre-qualifying whether there'll be great decisions made by outsiders or terrible decisions. What I'm saying is let's keep it in the basket here, and let's get people who live here and care about the community on the board so we can continue the right path. We've made some great progress in the last couple of years. We'd love to see it continue.
Good. With that, moving on. Board communications, email was just sent out on the 29th when we were getting a lot of rain, to the DPW requesting that they close monitor the lake water levels to prevent sewer line mixing in the lowest areas of the sewer line, especially on the north portions of Shore Drive, properties where the sewer access holes exist. If you think back to about 4 years ago, I would say, right before Labor Day, when we had one of the highest lake levels in quite a while, that is always a chance that, you know, preventing backflows is something that the sewer department is monitoring with their newer SCADA systems and alarms that go off. Anytime there is a blockage, they tend to get to it a lot faster than they used to. Is it going to happen? You know, it's a bit of, we're subject to the engineering of the pipes in the ground along the hillsides here at Beaver Dam. So if the lake were to theoretically climb a couple feet, and it's not going to impinge on the dam itself, the dam is new and strong and can take much more than that. Asking the DPW to monitor is more about the level and to potentially open up the sluice gates just to keep the level at a manageable height, so that if there was a manhole blockage where you could, and we've seen them from time to time where they're coming out, it wouldn't just be a direct flow into the lake. Yes, it's raining, but we don't need to make it worse. So if anybody has any comment on that, we move on. Beach update, where the beach obviously has been closed, winterization plans. Thank you, Tom Lark and neighbor Bart Raffaelli, right next door, for removing the swim area ropes. They do this season in, season out, year in, year out. Bart, as always, has been a great asset and friend of the district. Bart and Tom both install and remove the ropes biannually. Next, we're just gonna move on to our weather station, Jason.
The weather station's been cleaned when I replaced the new sensor, more on that later, and I still need to get the buoy brought in from that's in the area. Tom has offered to assist me with that if I need help.
Yeah, and I think we also mentioned that that's something that is the only thing that would threaten it is ice, right? And we have some time, so. Okay. Lake health treatments, there are no additional treatments planned for 2023. Moving on to Fred and the DEC grant for invasive species. Any updates, Fred?
Well, I've been in touch with two people at the county DPW. Mary Eifenberger has Heiferman has informed me that she's turned the process over to a Melinda Bender, who's the fiscal manager of the DPW in Orange County. And contacted her today via voicemail. She got back to me indicating that based on the deadline of the grant, which is July, I think it's July 17th, 2024, she feels that the information that has been sent to her already, and that covers all treatments that have been made to date, that she feels that she'll have that information by the end of the year to a person named Vicky Wagenbaum at the New York State DEC to finalize the reimbursement for our 52% of invasive species investments of treatment. Now, what also is gonna have to be done, since the grant goes, I think it's July 10 of 2024, there will probably be treatments that'll take place in 2024 that will be subject to that rebate also. So we'll cover that information, and I'm gonna make sure Melinda knows that there will be additional payment information coming towards the beginning of next summer. So at that point, this is all I know at this point.
Sounds like a lot. And we also, and you said the end of this calendar year that she expects to be finished.
Yes, by the end of this calendar year, she said, well, by the end of 2023.
Right, and that gives a good cushion of at least 4
Yes.
months or maybe 5 months.
So 5 to 6 months.
Yeah, 6 months possibly, right,
Yeah.
until, to see what else we can.
And let's put it this way,
Yeah.
I will keep in touch just to make sure that she knows that we're interested.
So noted. Okay, on to lake testing. Those of you that have been tuned in for the past year, you've learned with us that we did finally land a 1-year contract with a lake testing company, with a lake management company. The DPW commissioner granted a discretionary allotment to hire GEI Consultants Incorporated to come up with a plan. There's a few things that we have carried out together. We have had 2 rounds of lake testing inside, mostly tributary testing. And there's a bathymetry survey that will be coming in November. We'll talk more about that next meeting, but if you go back into the YouTube video, you'll see from the summer, we've discussed that. And what that entails. Also, there has been, all right, so on to the results. So our first day of lake testing was August 24th, and then we had a second day of lake testing on September 25th. It was taken during a third day of a 2.5-inch rain event. So naturally, as compared to the first day, that was dry. We had about 6 or 7 dry days, and that's about as dry as we've had all year. I think we're over about 36 inches of rain just in the last 12 months. But I think if we were to go from July to July, we're probably at like 40 inches or something like that. So to find a dry period of time has been rare this year. So we naturally would like, and we did get a rain event that we were able to kind of track. And basically what we did is we had, and if I think at all, and I didn't cue you, it was like, if Jason maybe can throw up some graphics, he's gonna share with us all. And that is, so what we'll kind of do here is just before we give you the results, I think we're gonna put up a couple photos of some of the testing sites. Perfect, exactly what we needed. So there you see the map in front of us. We sit somewhere in between BDL3 and BDL2, a BDLW2. They can see that at home, right? They're seeing this at home?
I do not tell.
I'll talk through it and we'll see if it's obviously a bonus because it'll be on YouTube regardless. So, just to give you an idea, so if we jump down to BDLW2, which is the outflow from Twin Ponds, which has been the Cornwall social, much, has garnered a lot of attention. That would be the outflow coming from Twin Ponds, where Cornwall Social is gonna have its property adjacent. In dry conditions, that had a level of 21.3 MPN. Now, according to our limnologist that's working with us from GEI, until it's even at 200 for E. coli, we're talking about E. coli levels, it's not a significant number of any kind, anything that's under 200. Once you're approaching 900 to 1,000, you're now speaking of sewer leaks. That's the level of E. coli that once you're getting around 1,000. So in the first testing, it was 21.3, but if we jump to just a few weeks ago, 2,419.6 MPN. So naturally, it's a wow number, but it's really just indicative of the rain itself. You have to realize that you're going to be pulling in animal waste, yes, fertilizers. But if you look at the map, we also have another slide, which I don't know if we really need to jump around so much. We're just going to highlight, I think, this one, but we can jump around to a few other places. But in the southern part of the map, right on 994, pretty much right where, I guess, I didn't even think, because it would see me doing this, right? So this is Shore Drive, Cumberland Farms right here. So the outflow comes from the other side, the southern side of 94, where there's a pond and a lagoon next to an equestrian center. Now, does that mean they're doing anything wrong? No, no one's saying that at all. It's just that it's an agricultural piece of land. You get heavy rains, that's going to happen. Now, where can we come in? That's what we want to do with this information. So that's been the point of this all along, was so that we could get data points in dry conditions, wet conditions, spring, summer, probably not winter, fall, and be able to start tracking where things are coming into our lake. We already know that we have a high level of phosphorus and nitrogen in the lake, and that's never going to change. That's not something we can turn off. It's in the soil. It's not going to go anywhere. It's just the style of our lake. We're not a spring-fed lake. We are a tributary-fed lake. And if we do go to the north, up to BDLW4, that is the outflow that goes adjacent to the land of the Little Britain School that has been much talked about by former board members and us in the last year or so. And that comes all the way down through this tributary. It's about 2.5 miles until it gets to cross Jackson at BDLW5, which we did test this time around because it didn't make sense to test it the first time because we were already testing before. And then if we jump over to BDLW6, that is Brittany Terrace, that outflow, which if we were to jump back maybe in the photo, if we could do that. So just some quick photos. That's my son. So this large pipe, that's actually right along Station Road. That is pretty much what the normal flow has been most of the summer. Today, on this particular day, it was gushing because of the rain. But that number was around, we were at, that was in the 1,500. So all of them, so if we just go down the list, I'll take my seat again, just to give you a comparison. BDLW1, first testing was 35 MPN. BDLW1 in the second testing was 1,046.2 MPN. BDLW2, as we said, 21.3 was now 2,419. BDLW3, which is by the bridge, as you can see, that's the flow going underneath Lakeview Drive. I always say it incorrectly. Lakeside Drive, sorry. Lakeside, yeah, before you get to Beaver Brook. As you can see how high it is on the top picture, that's typically how it is when it's dry. It was not stagnant, but it was flat. And that's at flood stage. That jumped to 1,413. Jumping to BDLW4, which was at 62, which was still very low the first time around, almost went to 2,000, 1,986.3 MPN. We decided not to take at BDLW5 the first time. This time around, We tested it, it was at 1,553. Now, there might be a little check we have to do with the lab, because the next number is identical, and the chances of that seems to be kind of low to me as a teacher, that VDLW6 was also 1553.1. But as you see, if you look back in the first testing, it was at 184. So, and if we go back to the map quickly, VDLW6, that is located, that is the Brittany Terrace. So that is the Brittany Terrace pipe, VDLW6 on Station Road. That had the highest of all the numbers the first time around, but as you can see, it's jumped. Now, what that is coming from their, it's an effluent from their retention pond. They have a wastewater treatment package plant on their property that has been there for quite a long time. They have a legal speedies permit with all their flow levels and requirements for how often it's checked. And you could foil this, of course, with the DEC and find out that everything that Brittany Terrace has, it does check out. But are their numbers too high? And our man, AJ Reyes at GEI, he says absolutely. And I'll jump to that in a moment. Lastly, VDLW7, that is the Valley Drive pipe that some of you may or may not realize is there. It only goes live in the rain. I can verify that because I can see it from my backyard, and you literally hear it. Anybody that fishes over there, there's an eddy that's created and a bit of a dredging that happens from this flow, because it hits really hard as it comes down off of the western side of Beaver Dam. Oh, it seems like we have a video. Okay, and our response from our lake manager, AJ Reyes, he said, it would be interesting to see what the health department says. I would still send it to them, the results. The results are concerning and definitely indicate excess fecal material entering the water bodies. We still need more data from both wet and dry conditions. It builds a stronger case and a good relationship between rainfall and E. coli. And if we could also just jump to another graphic, just want to highlight this. And this is definitely the data intensive portion of the meeting. Yeah, wait,
I don't have that queued up. Which one you want?
yeah, the left one, So as Jason's looking to bring this up, it's a blow up of what we would call the stagnant pool that is south of Route 94. Just to show you, crudely drawn, it does flow northeast into Twin Ponds, and there is a pipe, and you'll notice Trestle Valley Equestrian is nearby, and I think there's also a new developer that we had spoken about one point that I think has an interest in horses as well. There's obviously an ag zoning on that side of the road. So if we don't get it up, that's fine. I think at some point, maybe if we get it in the feed before the end, possibly, I don't know, it's all right, we could certainly put it through the VDL email. A lot of people have been joining that, and there's a young lady just the other day said that the sign out front, she was able to take a photo of it, and she finally remembered to join. Great. Yeah, so, okay, onto external, anybody? Sorry, that was a mouthful. Anybody have any?
Great work on the detail. Thank you very much for all that.
Yeah, and just so you know, appreciate it, that it was one of those where it was a rainy day. Fred Woodman and his wife Molly had offered to certainly come, and it was just the day where some of those places going down those banks in the pouring rain, and we had to get the samples to a lab by 4 o'clock. So go ahead.
I didn't see anything on there for the small stream that crosses Beaver.
Yes, that was under the bridge.
No.
Oh, that was there. That's there. Oh, so that was BDLW1. So they look close, yeah, so BDLW one is the northwestern part over by Reserve
No.
Six.
There's one on Beaver, so number one is on 6. Directly across from that is the one where your son was standing with the streams like over the flood stage.
Yeah,
In between them on Beaver Brook, on the north end, there's another small stream that comes in.
from in between
So,
the new houses, oh, I know what you're talking about,
Yeah.
okay.
right, there's like the road comes down and then comes back.
So it's a confluence between the three, you're speaking of the one that goes right past the new blue houses?
Yes,
So, yeah,
yes.
cause they have a bridge for their driveway.
They have a bridge.
Don't they have a bridge for their driveway? That's
Yes,
the-
so, yeah, but.
Yeah.
That's a street?
That's Theodora,
Theodore Lane or.
Yeah.
or whatever. But that starts way up behind the railroad tracks.
That's right.
Comes through the tracks,
that's right,
through someone's yard, and then crosses.
that's right,
So you guys may want to add that to your.
well, yeah,
Not to make more work for you.
no, well noted, no, absolutely, because this is kind of in its infancy, and we wanna be able to test as many things come in as possible, so thank you for that.
And I believe my father had, mapped a lot of that stuff and has a lot of that, so you guys may want to read it.
Sounds good, thank you, Chris.
I know it's, maybe it's a stupid question, but you have all these tributaries, but what's the origin? Where does it all come from?
Different places.
Lots of different places.
For a basin.
Okay.
So we could spend time on it, another point, but if we were to show you the watershed, which is all part of the Mudna, watershed.
Okay,
Much of it comes from the north, all the way as far, maybe even Orange Lake, and lots of it
And a lot
goes
of it-
straight through Stewart.
A lot of it through Stewart Airport
And
area.
Crestview Lake, and some of the farms, and some of them may have even vernal pools,
does
which are,
Crestview still exist?
yeah, but it's just,
The lake is there,
Yeah.
but it's not, it's all closed off.
Yeah, I know.
That's road going.
yeah, they bisected it when the town gave the easement so that they can, so the, Port Authority could put
So
their.
some of the reservoirs, are they tributaries? Not tributaries, but origin, like
Um,
that reservoir that's in, is it town of Newburgh off Union Avenue?
are you speaking of Lake Washington?
That's it,
No, that's
that's nothing.
That's on the other side, that's to
Yeah,
the Silver
that's
Stream
one of our
side, and,
watersheds.
Okay,
yeah, that does go to the Mudna at some point, but I think it does it through Vale's Gate. And
okay.
it's everything east of, let's say, Jackson Avenue, mostly goes to the east.
Yeah.
But during some flood areas, there are some spots along Jackson that can kind of mix. And what Chris is kind of talking about too, is like that would feed from those areas as well. So it's a very complicated watershed,
Yeah.
as Mr. Rossini's father had pointed out to us in the past. It's not a simple watershed in any way.
You, Chris, Racine?
All right, external sewer, is something?
Yeah, I think the
Yeah.
other side is the one that's
Yes.
oddball, I can see.
I'll give you a call.
Okay, all right, so we'll check it out. All right, so external sewer municipality updates, prelude to the weekend rainstorm on 9/26/29. An email was sent out to the commissioner DPW requesting that they closely monitor our water levels through the weekend, and open the sluice gates if needed. Original weather predictions were for 4 to 6 inches of rain. This was only 5 days after a 3-day rainstorm that dropped already 2.5 inches, which we had just spoken about. Concerns were not for the dam itself, but for the potential of the lake to rise high enough, and as we mentioned before, to possibly mix with the sewer system. Luckily, that didn't happen. The rain didn't fall as heavily in our area as it did down in New York City and Long Island and New Rochelle and New Jersey. We kind of dodged it for that storm.
Are we able to go back to gallery view, or is this shared screen? We can go back.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're looking at BDLW pipe 775 here. Request is yet to be made that the DPW test the bent sluice gate drive valve, and what we would like to do. We actually received an email just from the DPW right before the meeting, coming up with, basically offering the idea that we can maybe coordinate a drawdown some point this winter, because they do need to run a test. So regardless, they will be running a test, and we can take this opportunity to, number one, see if the with a V. It's been a long day. Does indeed work the sluice gate, and also we can utilize that time to rake all the leaves and things that have gone into shore, into people's shorelines. So with that, on to fisheries. A contract extension has been completed, of course, as we've talked about many times with Hickling's Hatchery to restock yellow perch. Walter Blows had been in contact with them closely through the summer, and one of the things they had mentioned that they will not know for certain if the supply is available until they harvest from their ponds. So perch need to be put in the lake in the fall, and when they go to put the nets in, that's when we know if they have enough. So once again, that happened to us last year, and we would, at the moment, can only assume if that were to happen again, we would be coming up with something else to roll it yet again into the future. But at the moment, we are due to take delivery in late October, early November of yellow perch. All right, so boat storage. Some of you may have noticed there's a sign. We've spoken about this before, that not so much next year, but we would like it to be an open discussion, of course, amongst the board and residents about certain policy changes with boat storage in the future. Just to kind of reiterate, there was an email that was sent from the board. I did author it a few evenings ago. Just stating a problem exists at Reserve 2, and especially 3, where there is no rack at all at Reserve 3. Therefore, boats lay on the ground. The situation already makes it difficult for landscaping to be maintained, not to mention it kills the grass itself, furthering erosion. Both leaves and animals gather underneath in the late fall through spring. The clutter has become a general nuisance. Please see the photos attached to this email. I am reading the email. They highlight the current overcrowding at Reserve 2. Some of these boats are also off the racks and on the ground. One photo, and if we could jump possibly yet again the photos, I don't think we have. Do we have that ability? I don't think it's important. No. So we did, and in our agenda, we did actually put the photos in. But in that email, there was a picture of a demonstration rack that's actually built from an help. The board oversaw it, but a resident graciously, anonymously, who has experience in building boat racks for New York State in the park system down in Harriman, lent us some ideas for at the moment canoe storage, and that's that grid style yet unfinished rack that you'll see near the pump station at Reserve 2. And we did have a photo here of a canoe that is on the rack. Reserve 3 currently has no racket system of any kind. Like we said, boats are on the ground. The board's plan in the future is to build racks on Reserve 3. Now, that would require probably the most amount of change, because all the current boats there that have been there without a rack, and if you can keep in mind that the agreement of getting a sticker to put on your boat for registration doesn't clearly define whether your boat should be on a rack or should be on the ground. But it's certainly up for discussion, and it's been quite chronicled that leaving the boats on the ground is a bit of a problem. It's also not good for your boat. Leaving a aluminum canoe on the ground is probably the one bad thing you could do to it. Aluminum canoes will probably last 95 years if you just keep them dry, and that's it. They won't rust. But if we can at one point start to move them back to people's homes, especially for the winter, and we get used to that practice. For Reserve 3 specifically, we would be speaking about moving the boats to one side while we fill. And if you ever lifted any of the boats there, we have gopher holes, lots of erosion, terrible erosion actually, because and this reserve itself lends itself to a rain garden. As Jason has brought up, that would be a good idea to have at Reserve 1, and
Any of them?
any of it. Yeah, and as the idea, just go back and check his demonstration video that's on YouTube about how to build a rain garden if you have that need on your own property. And in Beaver Dam, there are some streams that flow through backyards where stormwater runoff could be an issue. Your downspouts also count. So having a rain garden, even in the future, at Reserve 3 could be something to really beautify the reserve in general, and to keep contaminants from going straight flow into the lake. And that is another reserve that has a stormwater drain that goes right across it. And directly into the lake. There was a resident that was here just a little while ago. She had questioned about if we needed, if you do need help, to move your vessel back to your house, just contact the board once again. We will come up with some kind of an arrangement. There's plenty of hands willing to help you if you just need to get your boat back to your property. In general, on any given year, regardless, you know, beside this project in and of itself. But at the moment, the focus would be, we'd say, on Reserve 2 to deal with some of the clutter. And how can you help us right now? We'll jump right to it. Please begin removing boats that will not be used until next season. Taking your boat back to your home will enable us to build an additional higher capacity rack or racks that increase overall boat storage, along with an opportunity to beautify our reserves and repair erosion. And again, especially on Reserves 2 and 3. If you're a registered boat owner with your boat at one of the reserves, that's with the orange sticker, not a green sticker, that is quite ancient. Please be on the lookout for an individual email in the coming weeks, asking you personally to take on that action. We certainly have a master list of stickers, and we can contact any boat owners who has their vessel out there. We need space to have the work done. And we also would probably like to lift up the current racks just to get them higher. So we don't have to tear down the current racks, but if we were to lift them up, that would certainly help out the cause. Next one would be, come check on your boat. It's been a while. If it's on the ground, please either find rack space at Reserve 5 or 8, or bring it home. I was actually just on Reserve 5 the other day, and there's just 2 vessels, and one of them is one of those that I think is quite old. And it is a massive rack, and we certainly can expand that one at some point. And it's in the north section, it's an access to the lake, it's actually a quite nice and quiet reserve. It's kind of the one, it might be the best kept secret. It's that there's parts of it that are quite marshy, but it's certainly a quiet, private reserve. And there is parking there, just like.
Just no access. There's no access to the water at Reserve 5. It's become overgrown over the years. We have had a resident ask if we can start to do some improvements over there, and that's something we can again address in the future. So as Chris has put a lot of time and energy into all of this, I think the whole team has. I've definitely had my feet on the ground as well. So please, we're not trying to strong arm people. We're not trying to bully people. We want to improve the quality of experience of the entire community. So if, have to keep this in mind, at least 120 different residences has either been bought or sold in the last 5 years. That is at minimum. And if those people who left either had a boat and decided, hey, we can't take it with us, we can't bring it with us, we're not going to need it anymore, and they just abandon them on these reserves, they will be there forever. And that's unfair to the people who currently live here and can't store their boats on the reserve. Again, I address this problem not as somebody who needs storage on the reserve, I don't, but as a representative for the entire community, I feel that it's the right thing for the aesthetics. I feel it's the right thing for the people who want to follow the simple rules that are laid out. Please, if you know somebody who's moved, then you can contact them and say, hey, did you leave your boat over there? Let us know. And at least we can, at some point, get all the boats together that are abandoned, and, you know, we'll address it at some point. So, not trying to make this be any longer. Take ownership of your property, please. As I always mention, it is a privilege to use the reserves for storage of personal property. It is not your right, as far as I know. And we don't want abandoned, old, broken down boats that are never going to be used again, preventing a new family who moved in with these reserves right across the street from them, and they can't use it.
And if you look at it from your property value standpoint, the nicer the place is, the greater your house is gonna be worth. Having a cluttered reserve puts it into question, at least I believe. You know, to circle back to the election, I mean, if we all agree here, if this is an issue for you, you know, this is a perfect time to try to join us. To be completely honest, because when it comes down to it, the board will have the not the ultimate say, but anytime we really come up with something like this, it's still under the direction of the commissioner themselves. They just empower the board itself and the designee, usually the chair for these purposes. But you know, and there's also something else that is coming up, we've been discussing for years, the revamping and the updating of local law 8 of 1991, which we say every meeting, there are the laws that govern us. And those, if anybody goes and looks at them, because anytime you get an email, those blue hyperlinks at the bottom will bring you back to that at the DPW site, and you can read them. And it will state certain things like private property on a reserve. You can't hold the county, you know, liable if something's to happen, a tree falls on that boat, even if someone's to get hurt on the reserve. So just use of the reserves in general, as Larry said, it's a privilege. Your tax dollars certainly go to it, so there is a level of ownership here. And, you know, speaking as a resident who, I mean, I was a resident first for, you know, a number of years before I was sitting here. And in my opinion, you should care about that. You should care about being a good steward for your community and just keeping things on the upswing and not the other direction. Okay,
I got one quick thing about
absolutely,
Reserve 3.
yes.
Before, I know we got a little time on it, but before the boat racks are built, you may want to reach out to the property owner of Reserve 3. You know that we don't own that property, correct?
Oh, the entire reserve?
That is, yeah, that's not owned by the county and it's not owned by the district. It's owned by the water company. All right, back when my father was here, he tried to get the county and the lawyers to get their asses in gear as there was a switch over from the Beaver Dam Lake Water Association or whatever it was called, the water company, up to this other company they sold to. And that was our prime opportunity to get it back to the county and to us, so we had control of it. And the county drank their ass on it, from what I understand, and it never happened. So before any structures go up, you may want to reach out to that company.
Very good point.
Before we spend the time, you know,
Yeah,
the money on it. And,
That's right, because they do have a pump house there.
Right. No, that's
no,
a telephone company.
Oh, is that telephone
That's,
company?
yeah, I believe so.
yeah, and if anybody's new to the community, Reserve 3 is kind of that straight reserve that if you were to lose your brakes on coming down, which road is that? Maple, so if you're coming down Maple, going to shore, if you just kept going, you go straight down into the lake. And yes, there's no racks there, and like I said, there's a pipe that delivers water from the street, and that is full of leaves and silt, but as Chris just mentioned, Reserve 3, that's a good idea to check upon the property itself,
So
so.
we could basically be doing that company a favor by contacting them and improving their property for the benefit of the community.
Correct.
Or they can.
Or they can.
Or
do-
they can.
They'll probably just turn a blind eye to it.
Yeah. But you're doing a great job, yeah.
It costs them money, they don't want to do that.
Exactly.
All right, reserve, so taking it from reserves to community property, Jason, internet.
Internet. We have updated internet as of Tuesday, and I guess that we're not looking all pixelated this time around. So that was quite the endeavor since trying to get that going since July. That's all connected, and we have a new piece of weather equipment. We have a air quality sensor. I don't know if the Canada wildfires are still a thing, but there is a link to this, the redox for the sensor in the board email. And I believe I posted it on Facebook as well.
Jason, question, I don't know if this has anything to do with the internet, probably doesn't. But there was a problem with accessing the telephone here as far as messaging and,
Yeah.
The phone lines are still the same.
So we still have that voicemail that
Yeah.
I
is,
still have the voicemail. We're working, we tried switching to a VoIP, which is an online phone service, but we have the lines for it, but the technician said do. It's another issue to work on.
and email seems to work quite well, but I think we should.
I know, I've
Should have a
attempted this.
working phone.
I've definitely attempted this. The phone works, we just can't access the voicemail because we don't have the password.
And it's not.
Without the password, you can't go in and reset it. So I've attempted this in the past, maybe it's something we
I'll
could
try to reach
readdress.
out to Frontier and put that in my.
Okay, so Jason, I just want to thank you for all the work and effort you've done with this project. Really, Jason has absolutely smashed it with all of the technology and the upgrades and the owl. So I can't tell you how much we all appreciate you really stepping to the plate. I'm not capable of doing this stuff, so I can't help you, but I'm just saying thank you very much for making it happen.
Coming from the most humble man, in Beaver Dam Lake. All right, with our 7 minutes left, I think we're gonna make it. C-SLAP status, Fred.
Not much to report, all the testing's been done, and I don't expect any data until probably the spring.
Right, exactly. How about Prism? Is that gonna come through in the winter or is
I
that?
have not heard a word from Prism, who was supposed to be able to do testing this past summer.
Uh-huh.
They did testing last summer, but have never gotten back to my inquiries whether they were gonna come back or not, and already it's too late.
And that's a state program as well.
That's part of the DEC.
And so, just to bring everybody up to speed, they provided us with a concluded report by last December.
Last
It was
December,
late, but it was very
it
nice.
was
and-
both invasive species as well as other things involved, and it was a completely free of charge examination. And I contacted the fellow again, never got back to me, so I don't know, maybe we're small potatoes on their list.
Okay, we can always prod them some more. All right, community events, Larry.
Well, hello, everybody. Great to see you, and thank you for hanging in there with us. So let's just talk about a lot of the great things we have going on regarding community-based events, getting to know your neighbors, friends around you, meeting people in the community, new people who've been here a long time. We are active right now. We've got a lot of things brewing. Let's cover the base on a few things we've already done. Okay, so Tara and Rachel, Leah, we've had a Music by the Lake series every Sunday at 6 p.m. 4 out of the last 5 weeks. It's been great. Our average attendance is about 30 people, and we have had a 45-minute show. A few outside, a few forced inside due to rain. It's been really great. We're looking to build upon that in the future. We dialed down the time so that we wouldn't be running late, creating any noise nuisance for any of the residents who reside close to reserve number 4. And we will continue to build upon that really, really cool event. So thank you for the people who have volunteered and got that going. We did have the Witches Paddle, which was this Sunday, where we
The
had.
windy paddle.
Yeah, it was a lot of wind. Another resident, Deanna, did a great job. She teaches stand-up paddle boarding. And Deanna comes out with her paddleboard and she leads a bunch of us or people who are willing to go out in their kayaks or dress up in witch outfits or anything. And we had about 10 different vessels out there, including a paddle boat, a couple of rowboats, and we all went around the lake
And a pontoon.
and a pontoon boat. We all went around for about an hour and a half. Some people were tossing candy to kids on the shore, a fun event and really, really nice. We're really glad it went so well. We continue to have a book club that's run through Leah Matthews. It is every 3rd Wednesday of the month. You read a book and then you come here to the building and you discuss that particular book. It's a great thing to do. We did have a really nice turnout in the beginning, and as the warmer weather has come around, it has slowed down a little bit. We may be going to Zoom for the winter time. We're not positive, but get involved in that. So they're really great book selections, and the group will vote on what book they want to read for the month, and then they'll come and have a real nice conversation about that. All right, big event coming up. I don't know if you can see anything. Can this be seen? Like, there we go. Okay. All right. The chili cook-off. So, guys, last year we had a chili cook-off. It was a smash hit of an event. We had one resident suggest that we do it. We took the ball, we ran with it, and man, we had a lot of fun. I guess at least 150 people showed up to the chili cook-off. So we are going to do it again, backed by popular demand. That will be on 10/22, Sunday, 10/22. Here's how you can get involved. We need a few more chili chefs. Now, we had 4 as to the time of the printing of this document. We now have 10. But let's get the numbers up. If you think you can beat the champ in chili, I don't know who that might be. But you wanna take me on, I'm gonna be here, we're gonna make great chili. It can be any way you like it, vegetarian, beans, no beans, turkey, beef, whatever you wanna do, folks. Come out and represent. Here's how you do it. Cook your best chili at home the night before, the day of. Come here, we'll have a table for you. You bring an extension cord, you bring your serving utensils and a great attitude, and we will have a nice setup outside. I've got sampling cups, we've had spoons donated. We're looking for some donations of prizes for those who win the event. Last year, a few people gave gift cards, a candle, etc. Went very, very well. I'll continue to post on Facebook, although it's not our official form of communication, and we have things sent out by way of our email. Please spread the word. Again, these events cannot go properly or run if we don't have enough people to do them, so join us. If you don't want to cook, you can participate and come down and have a great time. I'm gonna say it's gonna be from 2 to 4 on 10/22. All right, we're gonna wrap it up real quickly. Trunk or treat. Look, this is a big kids event. Halloween is not on the weekend this year, but let's kickstart the season on 10/29 with a trunk or treat. Come down to the reserve number 4 with your car. Decorate the trunk, have a little bit of candy if you can afford to purchase it. If you cannot afford to purchase the candy, I have been fortunate enough to get some great donations here and will supplement your candy. You say, I can't participate because we can't afford it this year. We do have a nice amount of candy here to share. Doesn't mean that you should, everything should come, but if you can only afford a bag of candy and you want to participate, please. Again, actively email the board and they will send it to me and I'll put you on the roster. Any questions, please reach out. I am happy to hear any suggestions you have regarding new events, anything you want to do. We have a lot of great things brewing. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Larry.
Can't top that. All right, on to, thank you so much, Larry. If half of the residents had quarter of the passion that Mr. Weinberg has, we would really accomplish a lot.
Thank you.
And we are. All right, resident forum.
All right, so my final comment is that I have reached out to Liz and Gabe Dunn, who are the owners of the Cornwall Social. I did ask for an update, please. I was given a very simple email that stated there were a few things that they had to work on that the planning board had asked them to do. They are in the process of doing that. And once they do, they will send us information to update us and break ground. I don't have the exact date, but we're still on it.
Fred, any comments?
No.
Jason?
Yeah, I want to make some comments so I can get it out of my head for next year's budget.
Absolutely.
Farmers Almanac's predicting we're gonna have a hot, dry summer, so I recommend we budget for an extra
I'll agree to that.
algae treatment
Yes.
and the like, just for such an occasion.
Yeah,
And that we get back into summer soup bowl that we had 2 years ago.
And to go along with what you're saying, I see we've had in the past budgeted for 2 herbicide treatments and 2 or 3 algicide. We have found in the past that really, unless it's a really bad year, 1 herbicide treatment is really sufficient to get rid of the early growth of the weeds.
which I don't, not to cut you off, but keep in mind, this year we split it in half. We
Right.
had a first application and a second
The reason I'm
application.
saying is if it's a budgetary issue, I think part of that dual treatment budgeting can go towards an extra algicide treatment.
Yeah, the total would come out of the same bucket.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and something, this year, before I get to it, and this is just speaking on the treatments. That's been something that has been volleyed back and forth. We're always discussing, one of the functions of the board is in the summertime is the beach and keeping it open. And we already have chronicled so many times that the struggles of we're subject to the weather, we're subject to the runoff, especially the rain. You can make the argument that 2 summers ago in dry summer, we had less HABs, at least not as they didn't, weren't sustained as long because we weren't getting the runoff. It was when we stopped getting, when we went stagnant with wind and the temperatures of the water got, to that level. So treatments in general, I think until we get a handle on with any chance to mitigate what we already know is coming into the lake. We obviously know from the rain the other day, now we have testing saying that the E. coli is high. We don't have the results yet for the phosphorus and nitrogen. Most likely, are they gonna follow this?
They're gonna be high.
So we're assuming at the moment they're gonna be high. Those results will come back because they were frozen and sent off to a lab in Syracuse. They're gonna give us the results within the next few weeks because it's a large state lab, and they process hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of samples.
Same one that does C-SLAP.
So, is C-SLAP in Albany? Or is it, this one's in Syracuse, but
The testing.
No, the testing's in Syracuse.
is it, oh, okay, so then it is. So it's a massive
Yes.
undertaking. And they have to have hundreds of samples all, frozen and waiting to go. We still have a third round coming up and, if I may, I guess I'll jump to my final comment. So the third round of sampling should be right before Thanksgiving. We were fortunate enough to get this second round 4 weeks after the first round. The third round is most likely gonna have to wait a few extra weeks. There's no, weakness in that. If anything, to the board, I
I see
think
Eileen has a question. up
we can
there.
agree. Yeah, Eileen, go ahead.
Any change to the budget, some new metal picnic tables for Reserve 2?
Or move some from somewhere.
That, yeah, there are picnic tables in other places. But that's certainly something we can look into. Yeah.
Yeah, we could move them around if we need.
Just a bunch here.
Yeah, because like, for instance, there's some at 5.
That can't
You
be.
never see anybody at
Yeah,
5.
it can't be. So maybe we could just move a couple around.
Yeah.
Gotcha, Eileen?
So good on that. I had a couple more points.
Were you finished, by the way, with your,
I was just scared. It's been said so much tonight. So it was basically just, we had been discussing the idea of keeping the extra treatment or even 3 or 4, because when we get to the end of the summer, if we get another rainy summer, we can have another hand-filled summer and we might need it just to mitigate down till we get to Labor Day again.
please take into consideration, we know we have a high phosphorus and nitrogen lake. We know that it's there, we know that it's coming in. Until we get authorization from the state to be able to lock up some of this phosphorus. I hate to say it, but Band-Aids are sometimes necessary until you can stop the bleed.
Yeah, and if we don't need it, it goes into surplus.
That's right.
So,
Right, so and what Jason's mentioning, if we don't spend it exactly, it goes back to the surplus and then that money
offset your taxes.
comes back to all of us, as residents. So there's no other questions about that,
The questions, but I still had some.
so Jason, yeah, no, I wasn't gonna end the meeting.
Since the drawdown, I believe is still happening in December, and I think I just seen an email before this meeting that there could be one sooner than that.
No, so that email was saying, they were asking about, it could be early December or into January.
Okay.
They just wanted to coordinate the
So
effort.
during the drawdown, rather than doing a beach cleanup day in May when the water's still freezing, let's do it when there's no water there, so we can reduce the nutrient levels in there and hopefully even reduce the amount the beach is closed due to excess nutrients and causing gas at the beach. So plan for a potential cleanup day sometime in November.
Potentially. And of course, we're subject to the weather with that as well.
Yes.
If it rains, it's gonna slow down the drawdown.
And we had one other sensor that I believe I got up and running, I not was able to get it connected to the software, but it is reporting to a website. But my question is it a sensor that you need? So it is a water pressure sensor that's right at the corner of the beach, and that is detecting the level of the water. And whether we needed to open up the sluice gates or not, but that's all censored at the dam, I believe now.
Right, and my understanding is that the need for that previously was that it would transmit here and then to the DPW so that they can even know that without us, like in an emergency.
Yes.
That I believe the use, that was the prior use of
The
it.
prior use. So if the dam has it integrated already, is it worth my effort to get this back up
Right.
fully running?
Hope you know some people to ask them.
That's
Your father.
Yep.
Mr. Orsini.
parking permit has been updated to a form fillable PDF. It needs to be reviewed by everyone here, and I created a little submission portal that I would like everybody to test, so we can read it out, so people don't have to have it mailed in.
So we can stop using paper.
So we stop using paper, we can
Can I
submit all
answer
the documents.
If we have, excuse my ignorance, but if we have a form fillable thing that they can send in, what about the other documentation that's necessary?
That can also be scanned and submitted along with it as well.
That can be scanned. How many people have scanning capabilities?
Take a picture of your phone.
Okay.
No, this is.
I know.
I
still am old enough to get blown away by.
I have no problem. I can do it. But I'm
This
just
is not
wondering-
to say that it can't be
Right.
mailed in or handled.
Okay. This is an additional layer, making it easier for our more technologically savvy residents to avoid all the extra paperwork, et cetera, and expedite the
And
process.
have to use the stamp, save you.
Save the stamp, make it flow. Okay, with that, resident comments, since Chris is here, he's the only one in the house.
All right, so I've got two things that I'm concerned about.
Sure.
First is the maintenance on the back slope to the dam has not been done this year. That's in the contract from the county, it says that the slopes are supposed to be weed whacked, mowed, what's they going to be mowed? Weed whack the back slopes. I was over there today, behind Matt Scopatolo's property, I had permission.
Is this the lake side of the dam you're speaking of, or the
back?
still lake side? Okay.
Still waiting on you.
After the meeting, I can show you the maps that the county had sent out,
Sure.
the contracts. The weeds are anywhere from 3 to 5 foot tall.
Okay, sure.
Okay, back when I had the contract for that, I mean, obviously, every week it doesn't need to be done, but once a month, it was supposed to have been done, you know, or should have been done.
Chris,
I approached it.
was that type, you said when you had the contract, it was in there. Has that been changed as well?
No, it still says,
So what you're saying is it's there, but has not
it
been
has
done?
not been done, okay? So I can show you guys after the meeting where it shows it in the contract and everything. So,
All right, that sounds like
because
that.
that's gonna come up with DEC, when they come to inspect the dam again, it's, I believe it's every 2 years they come to do it. So next time they come here, if it's not there, and there's trees and things like that growing out of the backside of the dam, you're gonna get cited for that.
All right, is there a board member here that would like to follow up with that? If
You give me the information and I get the info of the landscaper, I'll contact him.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna require a DPW, email or call, just to, just to cross-reference everything. Thank you for that.
And,
Yeah, there's something else?
Yes, parking stickers. I know you guys, in the next year or so, you guys are gonna get your stickers and all this and that and everything. I suggested maybe board members put the stickers on vehicles, so we know they're going on the right vehicles. I know, drive by, you see sticker on the vehicle, you assume it's the right vehicle. Nobody's checking license plates or anything like that, all right? I know you guys are busy, the cops don't do crap around here. So my company has about 300 accounts. Customers of mine who don't live in Beaver Dam have stickers on their cars. All right, so I think this is something that needs to be done, even with the boats. We should be able to, I think we should figure out a way to put them on there ourselves, or yourselves.
And if I could add, there's a point to that, because for instance, in Harriman State Park, if you're getting a sticker on your boat, you have to go to Tyrati Circle with the boat.
Okay,
And they put the sticker on with you presently on the vessel. They don't hand you a sticker and you leave.
right,
You have to bring your boat,
right.
or as many number of boats as you wanna have stickers, so.
Oh, I think it's a great idea.
That's a point.
And I hadn't really noticed on the other side of the lake, but there's a section of the other side, new homes that are not in this district, even though the only way to get to those houses are to drive past the lake. So I don't,
Yeah, no,
That's
the ones on the backside of the valley, when you go,
on Finley.
where the curves begin, like the curbs change, right? There's
Yeah.
granite curbs
You
that
know,
are not
the
PDL.
homes up over on the other side there.
Yeah.
I haven't taken notice if there are stickers or not on vehicles there, but it's a possibility, because I know it's easy to assume that, you know, those houses are included in this tax district, and I know for a fact that.
Absolutely, and I know that previous board members, as well as some that are on the board, maybe not present today, have certainly double checked and reached out to residents to make sure that they understood they were or were not. And we did use a tax map for that. I believe that was right before I came on. Trying to verify if they thought, because there were people would ask, can I have a sticker? And I know
Right.
Fred would always say, verify your address.
We have a listing in the office of addresses in the district.
There you go.
So
Yeah.
maybe it's a good idea to contact the county or whoever it is, whoever figures out how much taxes are being paid by each home. And maybe approach those houses that are on that side of the lake there that are not in the district and expand the district to them. When the builder put those houses up, he opted not to include them in the district. He had the opportunity to put those houses on the tax roll for him.
Through the county.
Yes, all
Okay.
right, I believe it's
Something.
something.
So you're saying, so the developer, but the current owners of the house had no say in it because it was
Right, the
developed.
developer had turned it down.
Got it.
So what's involved with getting this particular, say, a road included?
That I don't know.
Yeah, does it
It
need a
sounds like a
majority?
bureaucratic thing.
Because not for nothing, we don't have anybody patrolling.
Because what
these
you're doing
beaches,
is adding to
and you
some of the
always
tax
see
base.
cars down there that don't have stickers on them.
Sure.
Maybe it's some of those residents there, maybe it's not,
Well-
but we can clarify that if they have stickers and if they're contributing to the maintenance on the lake.
Those are sound points. Absolutely.
If I had a house over there and I had to drive by a lake every single day and I couldn't use it, I'd be a little upset.
Yeah.
And I would be happy to pay the few $100s or more, you know, a year more.
Oh, I mean, some of the homes that were built right on the other side of the train tracks, I mean, they immediately asked, because they're like right there, and they're not part of Beaver Dam, and they wanna be.
Believe it
so.
or not, there's a house right across from Lockland that I just issued a tag sticker for, that is the end of the district line.
Seriously, yeah,
Believe it or not, that far away.
so they're probably the furthest southern western
Yeah.
home on Beaver Dam.
Yeah.
So Marty, our election person, posted a question. Our election board,
All books have resident names, but to be there, need to be registered to vote.
I
I
don't know,
believe this statement earlier is that you need to be registered 30 days before you can vote for
Correct,
this election.
correct. Yes.
I think that answers that question.
Does that answer your question? Marty? Well, we can answer Marty, if you have any additional questions on it, certainly email us, okay? BDL board, email, just like we've been urging every resident to do, just to get the knowledge directly from the board and as fast as you can, right? Okay, it's been a long day for a lot of us, for every one of us.
Yes, I can't do much to
Do we have another question?
Marty again.
Marty. Oh, go ahead, yeah.
Okay, yeah, the point I was making was if they're in the poll book, then they live within the district. Only some people, not everybody's in the poll book because they're not registered to vote.
And those would be the people that have a polling place right here in the community building as well.
Correct, correct.
Alright.
So I mean, if you're looking for stickers, you, like one place to start might be if they're in the poll, the books for the elections. But not everybody's in the book because not everybody's registered to vote. That's what I was referring to there.
we have access to that?
Well, we speak to the Board of Elections. You know, and we have a poll worker.
You're welcome, I do.
Right, thank you so much for bringing that up.
Yep.
Okay, all right, with that, everybody. There's no more questions, all right, motion to adjourn? Second,
Aye.
all in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mr.
Thanks,
Rossini,
Chris.
and we will see you next time. Have a good night.